Hey guys, Dan Connor here with Consolidated Fish Farms, and I figured for our first video, it'd be really cool to take a tour of our grow out facility. So here today, I'm going to take you a tour on what we do out here in our grow out facility and what fish we're breeding and raising, and what fish we have out here today. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so pan down on our first vat. We've got some koi swordtails. Those were some broodstock we brought in as a trial basis, see if we wanted to breed them. So far, the synopsis is no, they don't have enough young for us to mess with them to warrant the amount of labor it takes to breed them on a larger commercial scale. And then also you'll see some of our red-shouldered gold severums in there, also known as fire severums. And we'll talk a little bit about their coloration here in a minute. So here's some more of those, just a little bit older. What we're doing now is we've had 4 or 5 spawns. We're taking them together, pulling out the best ones we can to turn over then another set of breeders. Now, one thing I want to talk about is you're probably like, well, why are those not as red as other fire severums I've seen? Outside of probably the few hobbyists that have really nice fire severums, on a commercial scale, they're just not available in the United States like that. And here's why. Most of the fish that have that super bright red color are all hormone. They're hormone from overseas when they come in from imports. And that color typically will fade maybe a month to 3 months. It's not going to stay forever, right? So what we're trying to do is just try to breed the reddest possible fish we can in order to get the best color that never fades, right? And that's sort of the goal. So just to keep that in mind when you're looking, oh, that fish is not as red as what I've seen on the internet. Well, one, photos can get enhanced, and two, you have to remember we don't even have the ability to use methyl testosterone in the aquarium industry. It's not legal for us to use it. But it is legal to use for your food fish. So some food for thought there. Now the next fish is kind of a cool fish. It's kind of a more common fish, but it's not bred here in the States, mostly because the labor it takes to take care of it is so much. So we're trying out some new practices to see if this helps and lets us breed it at scale. So here it is. So we are breeding some half moons at the moment, trying them out to grow them in 300 plus gallons of water. This is one of our other spawns, mostly blue, some other colors mixed in there. But we are trying to breed them at the moment. You notice they're not all jarred up, right? Right, one thing you're gonna notice is they're all still really small, right? Most of them are still unsexed. Some are showing some sex characteristics now, but because they are so small, they're not being very aggressive yet. So that's been a big key for us. We're taking the ones out that are very dominant, very big, and we're jarring those guys later in the process and trying to sell them as they get there. This cuts down on our labor costs tenfold, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to do it. It's a labor-intensive fish once you start jarring everything. Once you jar it, we have to have a way to sell it in order to keep producing the same fish. Now, just one thing to think of, this is just a trial process for us. We're trying out betas. We're trying to do something different that other people aren't doing. The main reason is we want to be competitive. We want to have a locally grown beta if we can have one. So we're definitely, you can definitely tell a few of them are going to have some nipping at the fins. They're going to have a little bit of raggedy fins, but what we've noticed is once we jar them within 5 to 7 days, those fins come back to full, beautiful half moons, and they don't have any more issues. So that's still some things we're ironing out. We're looking at densities, how many fish we're going to put to a vat for this to accomplish it with the least amount of any sort of issues with the fish. But as far as deaths or mortalities from them fighting and killing each other, it's virtually nothing, which is something to be said for. And we're pretty excited about the progress, but we'll let you know if we decide to keep breeding them. All right, so one thing I want to show you guys in our building that's probably a little bit different than you're going to see everywhere else is in our greenhouse, we have what's called a flow-through system. And what that means is none of our water returns back to the tank. We don't recirculate it. So let me show you how it works, and I'll tell you why we do it. All right, so it's relatively simple. We have water that drips through every single day, 24/7. Water then goes out our pipe, down into the ground, where, as you will see, a lot of drains. Where do those drains go? All of those drains will end up going to one of our closest fish ponds in order to help pump water to it to keep the temperature more stable year-round. So we use a flow-through system for 2 reasons. Number one, it saves us on electricity costs from pumping water to one less pond. And then 2, without connecting water, we have a lot less disease issues you would see in other large-scale production systems. And that's great for us, right? Because we're trying to maximize our space as efficiently with the highest water quality possible. And using filtration, you'll have all sorts of issues with that. Like traditional recirculating aquaculture filtration, you'll have lots and lots of issues with that. With this system, it works for us. It's very low tech and costs us very little to maintain. List, just some more angel spawns, some albino and citrus in the bottom, you'll see there. Mostly, we're just starting out producing those a little bit. We're not doing full production. We actually have a breeder that provides most of those for us, so we are not breeding those super heavily right now, but we are having a few to back us up with. Some more goldfish we brought in order to debate if we wanted to breed them or not. You'll see lots of goldfish all the way down here, mixed in with some more of our breeder angels, right? All right. So we'll keep going. Some more of our red caps, lots of red caps, lots and lots of red caps. Let me take you down to this vat here, show you something else we just decided to bring in. Brought in just a few, right? These are called albino mollies. One of our goals is we're kind of just in the beginning stages of debating if we want to breed the mollies or not. So we bring in a few of our broodstock, we try to breed them. We look for fecundity, which means how many, fry they're gonna have at a time, how hard it is to keep them alive, and then how long it takes for them to grow them. We typically have a pretty good standard protocol for mollies, but as you get in some of these higher end mollies where they've been bred out so often, their young typically reduces, and we have to match up with how many young they have versus, how long it takes for us to get them to breed. So that's really a big determining factor for us right now. Back side of the greenhouse now, wanted to show you these guys. These are our Frontosa Burundi spawns. We've got a few groups on the inside that we're breeding right now. They've done pretty well for us for the most part, having pretty good success. We're looking to move up from the Burundis, maybe in the near future, looking to get some blue Zaires. That's kind of my big push right now, is I really like to see some blue Zaire breeders. Get a good little colony going and try to breed them up. All right, got some more betas out here. Some smaller spawns we had from some angels a while back. They weren't as productive as they normally are. Keep going down. All right, some more Frontosa spawn. Still working on those guys. All right, go to the next vat. Working on some more Frontosa spawn here. They're still kind of small. Working on getting them up the size of something we want to sell. Typically, we try to sell everything at least at 2 inches. But we'll put it out our building for African cichlids. Obviously, not the case for every fish. Some more beautiful angels. These, we're starting to get some breeders from some of our platinums. Obviously, haven't culled some of these out yet, so it's going to take a little time to get that perfect. All right, these guys are just about ready to go out for sale. They're quite larger. Some nice Frontosas. See how close I can get to them without them running away. All right. All right, that's pretty much wraps it up. Hey guys, hope you liked the tour. Let me know if there's anything else you want to see in our next videos. We'll be doing some more videos on our production facilities, what we feed our fish, medications to deal with sick fish, because that seems like something that people always want to know more about in our facility. And let me know what you think.